I hit.
We're in. We're on.
Oh, I stopped it. There we go. Welcome back to the DMV show. Mind the kinks, mind the little mess ups. We're here. We're a little bit behind schedule, but we appreciate the patience and do make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, comment. As always, I'm your host Geo. With me is my co-host and good buddy, Mr. Noah. How you doing, buddy?
Ready to go. I'm ready to be back. It's been a while. It's been too long. We're excited. Thanks for the patience, not only tonight with the hiccups, but I know I keep promising a weekly podcast. We're in the thick of it right now in the season, and I know it hasn't been exactly weekly, but we're here tonight. We got lots to catch up on, lots of good stuff, lots of matches in the forecast too. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, I mean, big apologies on that one. But we're gonna dive right in. We're gonna talk power rankings. We're gonna talk big game, big overview of Super Soccer League, UPSL, NPSL. Well, I should say NPSL kickoff, UPSL. Really recap, and then just free flow state today. So let's talk Super Soccer League. Noah, we've hey Peter, how's it going? Robert, hello, welcome, welcome.
Good to see
Yes,
you
Robert.
both. I missed you yesterday, Robert, but I saw you in the chat. Appreciate the support. Peter as well. Great to see you.
Noah, let's talk. Let's talk. We weren't here last week, right? So we missed 1 week. Right now, we are on a bi-weekly schedule. We're gonna change it to weekly, but we're on a bi-weekly schedule. Um, let's talk. What has been your biggest reactions from the past 2 weeks of Super Soccer League? Obviously, 1 week of Maryland soccer, but 2 weeks of Virginia soccer.
I want to take a step back and I want to talk big picture instead of specific matchups, right? Because we have
Yes.
so much to cover. Um, I think we're before I get into that. Robert says we might be clipping in the audio. I'm not sure.
Um.
It says
Hmm.
Geo, your audio is clipping.
Mine.
Possible, maybe. Um, it could be the. Is it the mic? I want to just go straight laptop.
I don't have a straight laptop. I'm on my desktop.
Oh,
Okay, hold on. Keep going. I'm gonna fix this here.
okay. All right, cool. So Mango's here as well. Welcome, Mango. Okay. Well, yeah, we're gonna go and hopefully, if it gets bad, keep letting us know. Appreciate all of you keeping us honest and letting us
Yes.
know because last thing I want to do is go on a big monologue and then find out no one heard me. But that with that said, I want to talk big picture with regards to the Super League, the trends that have emerged. And we'll start with Maryland Division Two because we usually start the opposite. We start Virginia and go. And I want to start with Maryland Division Two, Slancha. That's the I need I say more. They are the team that has distanced themselves at the top. Both Touch Kings and MSI have kind of dropped into the down the table. They're still great sides. Touch Kings kind of reemerged this weekend after stuttering 2 weeks ago, and they'll certainly be a top playoff contender. But they now have to wait and hope that Touch Kings drop pace. Likewise with MSI, I still think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't see a regular season title in their hopes. Baltimore City has also, they've plugged along, and after kind of a slow start by their lofty standards, they are very much up in the mix. They're sitting number 3. And then the bottom, I think it's going to be a race between, Peru, Etihad, NPC for like the final playoff spot in Division 2. But yeah, Slanch is firing on all cylinders.
Slancha, my goodness. I mean, they're doing some great things over in Slancha, and I was really looking forward to the matches. We were Touch Kings MSI. We won't touch much on that, but there were ties. There were ties all the
Yeah,
way around, and stuff like that. And
I'll touch on it. So it comes back to how deep is your ability. Every side thinks they have the depth. Every side thinks that they're ready to go in the beginning of the season, and you let some
it's
of
a
these
lot.
bigger clubs, they play multiple leagues. and that's great. It's good to have, multiple opportunities for players and stuff, but can you manage? And it's tough. It's not anyone's fault when, so the ball gets dropped in any kind of way, but we did talk about this, in the very beginning. We knew, MSI and Touch Kings were going to be top clubs, but they're going to have obligations elsewhere. And it has proved to be something that's difficult. I still think that they're going to bounce back and again make playoffs and possibly even, go all the way in playoff. But Slancha, they are focused on this league, in this league alone. They have top players and they are committed each and every week. So because of that, I think that Slancha is going to continue for the season title. And I think it was theirs to win after last season where they just narrowly missed promotion, and they're back with a kind of a renewed vigor that only comes from defeat, if that makes sense. And so yeah, that's what I see.
Uh, I think I know what's happening, but I can't fix it unless I lose the whole connection. It's
But
my internet.
is it?
It's my internet.
Oh,
I thought I clipped it
well,
in the back, but I might have not clipped it in. I'm usually hardwired, people, but bear with us today.
he's up in Nome, Alaska, or Hampstead, Maryland, whichever
All
of the
right,
two it
okay.
is.
They're not the same things.
They don't really
They're
have
not the
dial up.
same.
It's a whole thing.
But
Anyways,
yes, Slancha has is looking like they're gonna earn their way to the first division, which I think for me is gonna be super exciting to watch Slancha go to the first division. To see Slancha and Bowley's match up again is something I'm here for, and I'm all in. And obviously, the playoff spots is gonna be. I'm thinking it's gonna be Touch Kings, Baltimore City, and MSI competing for that second spot, and I think that is gonna be super exciting.
yeah, lots to look forward to. Let's switch over to Division One.
Yes.
Because I want to keep this moving. We got lots to
Hey, look,
cover.
Austin's
Those,
here. Hey, I just
hey,
mentioned Bullies,
welcome.
and he appeared out of
We got all the
nowhere.
VIPs. See, everyone, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all bearing with us as we've been a while since we've been here, but we got all the VIPs. Good to see you. Yeah, and everyone who's here, I know from what the names I see in the chat, and I'm sure there's a lot more. If we're not to your specific topic yet, we are going to get there. I promise. We're covering Maryland, Virginia, Super League. We're going to get UPSL. We got some big stuff to talk about. Big matches on the horizon too. So if your topic isn't here yet, thanks for sitting tight. But Maryland Division One, for me, the team that's kind of separating themselves and I think is going to go all the way. Bullies, Bullies Athletic, Steel Pulse, the
Don't jinx
same
him.
the same consistency questions that have emerged in the last year or so, maybe more even, are still there. Are they done? Absolutely not. Steel Pulse is going to be a team that you have to mark on your calendar, no matter until they stop being a team. If hopefully that never happens, but they're just not a consistent every week kind of team. They don't show up with the same exact kind of approach, and I think that will hurt them in terms of the way that it's set up as a regular season title contention. It's going to be the best team over the duration. Bowley's set up for that, and we've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you were to go on our schedule, our website, the Super Soccer League, and you were to look at the table, I have a problem with this. That Steel Pulse is still number one because, sir,
Well, I mean,
I know this is pulled in from another system. I know.
it's
I'm
the
just
it's the
saying, Bowley's.
here's why. Here's I understand what you're saying, but here's if the season ended right, it would
Yes,
be points,
yeah,
then goal differential, then
yeah.
so I can't have it set up any other way. I
I
could
know,
do it
I
as win
know.
percentage or wins per. I guess we could still do it points per game, and that wouldn't affect anything unless we end up with teams playing different numbers of games. But
No, we're going down
anyways,
a rabbit hole. We're going down a rabbit hole. No,
I
no,
digress. You have to look at the actual table, look
no. I
into it.
know.
That's the true across different leagues. I mean, you see, the stated number one isn't necessarily the number one if there's game in hand for other teams, and that's obviously what's the case. Bullies has a step on Steel Pulse, but I think we talk a lot about the top two. What's another team that stands out to you?
Well, wait, hold on. Let me go back to Bowlies. I only say that because I'm really on this Bowlies train. I'm full in on this Bowlies train, and I think to see them take the Division One after being promoted into Division One for me will be such a joy, and I will be cheering her. I'm a neutral. I will do the public service announcement right now, but it would be a very, very much elated experience for me to watch Boldies win. But the team that stood out for me was this A3 win over Ambition.
Yes.
When you
A3, Mike.
told me,
Mike, if you're in the chat, you're getting this is what we're talking about. If you get the love now, because that A3 showed us something big. It wasn't like a small victory. It was a 3-goal margin after a tough result against Beer Hall, right? Who, by the way, Beer Hall, another team that very much on the rise. They're firing a big win against the Highlanders and then against Steel Pulse, albeit Pulse had a maybe bigger hand in that than Beer Hall did, but Beer Hall shows up and they're ready to go each week.
yeah,
So that's another team. But yeah, A3 Highlanders very much, I think making their case for a playoff position.
I mean, 2 weeks ago we were talking about Beer Hall being on the
Done.
yeah, like I didn't want to say
Done.
that, but yeah,
Like, are they
yeah,
done? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then now they're sitting in the third spot. Like that's wild. And then A3 injection of life. The only team, and we were talking about this, the Team United and Baltimore Kickers competing for the last spot, and Baltimore Kickers loses to Team United, and now it's like, what's Baltimore Kickers? Like, come on, man. Like, yeah,
It's a tough league,
yeah,
and it's tough. I mean, the organization, the Kickers, as we know, it's been around for such a long time, and it's not a team that is showing up with barely enough players, right? They're bringing,
yeah.
and there's something to be said about the consistency. They're gonna get some points. They're gonna get some points over the course of the season, but they will have to prove themselves worthy of Division One, and it may not. It may be a season where they have to take a step back to Division Two, and obviously the points will tell on that. There's going to be one team automatically promoted. So look, if you look at the top of the table, there's a title race going. It's Steel Pulse, Bowlies, far and away. Not that say anyone else couldn't catch them, but
We say
those
that.
are the
We say that.
yeah.
We clearly have been
And,
proven
we
wrong.
don't say that. The numbers say that. But anyways, okay. So you've got that, and then you've got 3 teams vying for you know the third spot because there's going to be prize accolades, prize money for the third team, the
Oh yeah,
first,
that's a good
second, and
shout.
third.
Yeah.
So Beer Hall, Ambition, and A3, obviously they have different numbers of points, but also some have games in hand. But just if we look at a trends kind of perspective, I mean, that's in my head, I could not predict that race right now. Like I really couldn't. I could try, but and so that's the second race, and then there's the bottom race: Team United and Baltimore Kickers clawing their way out of relegation. Um, and so there's just so much to enjoy with this promotion relegation system. IA is asking, are there playoffs for D1? There are not this season. That was voted by the teams because of the number. We have 7 teams. In order to have a balanced 12-game schedule, it was decided there wouldn't be enough time for playoffs just based on how long we would have to play and the bye weeks. So it was voted to do like a Premier League style. So we'll have a champion. It will very much be a champion crown, but it will be based on the longevity, over the course of the season. So Steel Pulse
However,
Bowlies, yeah.
this is new for this year is the second and third seed are getting prize money for performance
Yes, the
or
second and third
placement.
are getting prize
Yeah.
money as well. And when I say Division One, I should clarify this is Maryland side.
Yes.
Virginia still has the standard 4-team playoff, and this won't affect anything in the Super Cup playoffs. It's still going to be the champion of Maryland plays the champion of Virginia. It's just how we arrive at that. In the future, there could be some changes where we kind of integrate this, so we're all on the same page. But you got to understand right now, these 2 leagues have very different needs. They
Yeah.
came about at different times, and they even play different days of the week. So we're trying to bring to the best of our ability, bring them on the same page. But some things are best actually left to flexibility and left to the needs and the demands of the teams. So I know it's not standard to have a league that has different structures and different conferences, but that's just what suits us the league right now.
Let's move on to Virginia, just
Yes,
because we have a lot of topics to cut
yes, we
through,
do.
and man, um, Virginia Dreams, huh?
Virginia
As for
Dream. I
as
mean,
foretold, huh?
what else is now? I mean, they must have heard us talking. So it has to be said, Los Toros still in the mix. They're perched right
Well,
level
I mean,
on
they're
points.
on points are tied.
They're tied on points. So Virginia Dream is blowing or they're blowing teams out of the water on goal differential right now. Toros, still doing well, but it's 17 for Virginia Dream. It's 6 for Toros. So Toros not likely going to catch Virginia Dream on goal differential alone. Now, never say never. Toros is going to take that as a challenge now. But what that does mean is Virginia Dream cannot take a rest, and they're heading into the bulk of their schedule where they're playing UPSL, they're playing NPSL, and they're going to be playing some big matches. And Mr. Taylor Sr. is in the building. Yeah. But that's great for the league. I don't know how much Virginia Dream love it. I mean, maybe they do. They love to be tested. Otherwise, why would they take on 3 leagues? They want to be tested. They want to have opportunities for their top players to be doing, big things. But yeah, Virginia Dream can't they take their foot off the pedal, because even if they draw, even if they draw points with, say, Doratus or Alexandria United or any team, then Los Toros are perched to take the crown and take the first spot for playoffs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that game, the game that they split points on was so huge for Los Toros to keep pace for
Yeah.
with Dreams that we're still seeing the effects of it now, because while Virginia Dreams is sitting on first place, it's only with goal differentials. It's not points. Los Toros is not losing. Virginia Dreams is not losing. So they're both going to be in the playoffs. It's a safe assumption. I'm putting I could, if I was a betting man, I would put money on it. Now, Los Toros, if they want to beat Virginia Dreams, it's going to have to be in the playoffs, and that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. And yes, Mr. Senior, we are going to talk about this.
Yes. We're saving that one for last, because it's like at the grocery store. We put the staple items in the back, so people got to walk through the grocery store. You put the milk at the back. That's where we're leaving the UPSL match that shall not be named for the end. So you got to stay. Geo can't stand me
Before
sometimes.
we move on, before we move on to that, any other points you want to point out? I mean, the rest of the table is Dorados at 13, North Star at 11, Alexandria at 7, and then Blazers at 2.
I mean, shout out to Doratus. Like, Doratus has, they're a team that, they're now just like a perennial playoff team. Like, they did it
That's
in their first
crazy.
season,
Yeah.
and they're still should making a good account of themselves. I think the 4th spot for the Super League Virginia playoffs, it's there for the taking. North Stars, has a leg up, but they haven't convinced me, and I think they still can convince me. Again, it's theirs to lose, but Alexandria United, even Blazers, could make a showing for that. So definitely something to watch out for. But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered that. It's pretty straightforward. Virginia Dream, Los Toros, Doratus have been solid. North Stars, their 4th spot to lose.
I think we should circle back to Virginia Dreams because they kicked off their NPSL season. But before we do that, I want to shout out Bowleys for representing Maryland in the uh, I can't remember the cup's name.
Werner Fricker.
Thank you, Werner Fricker Cup, and didn't go their way. But I do want to shout them out because they were put in a very tight position to go represent Maryland on, I don't want to say short notice, but the team that earned the right couldn't participate. They stepped up. They went up to PA and faced Westchester, a very good Westchester, and just want to give them their props for doing that, even though they did crash out of the tournament after because of this. But it's all good. You did it. You went and represented us, and it's all good. Now
Yep.
we can focus on uh, Virginia Dreams NPSL run that just kicked off.
NPSL. I mean, I was at the game last night. I I don't think there's a whole lot to be said about the game except for Virginia Dream, which we already know. Incredible. I mean, they were
Yep.
great, but obviously a big asterisk. I mean, I was not thrilled with their opposition, and they'll probably agree with me that they're not going to be resting on their laurels after that. They know there's going to be some tough competition. They've got some absolute, you know, thrilling opponents. I'm still circling that Ristosi match. I cannot wait. Virginia Dream Ristosi. I mean, there's going to be lots of competitors. DMV Elite. Um, but I mean, did Laculia just win the Golden Boot last night? I mean, he got 7 goals. I'm pretty sure he's just like gonna sit on top of the Golden Boot, and then the second place is gonna be Slavov, Asper Slavov.
Wait, hold on. That's actually a good question. While you're doing that, I'm gonna just happen to look at the Golden Boot race
You
footage.
don't need to look. Who's gonna have more than 7 and 3 here in
You
the
never
beginning
know
of
that if
May?
there's somebody up there that
No, there's not. There's not, Geo. There's not.
Oh
Talking
man,
about making a
14.
bet.
It was 14-0. That's a man. Like no, I'm not trying to throw shade on um Alexandria Rough Diamonds, but God, that's a rough pill to swallow, man. I mean, it's like how do you come back? I mean, you have to come back from it. You have to become a good, or to compete at this level, you just have to forget that happened and just move on.
I'm gonna
But
say something. I'm gonna say something, and again, I don't want to throw shade either. But when you're competing in a league like the NPSL, and not just the NPSL, it goes for UPSL, really any league that's above the standard amateur level. You got to make decisions, and it's not a place where you're giving an opportunity for fun, an opportunity for yes, you can give opportunities, and you can have fun with it, but that's not the primary goal. And you have to make decisions with personnel based on the goal to win. And you also kind of need to be aware of what that bar is. And it doesn't seem like there was an awareness of that going into the season. Now maybe that will be the kind of wake up call that changes things for them. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just going to be such a long season if it doesn't change. The guys. I mean, I know some of the players. There were some solid players individually, but there weren't enough pieces, and you can't have a couple of good players. Shout out to their goalkeeper, Zayn Asim. He played a phenomenal game, but you can't have like a trickling of players. You got to have a full roster plus reserves, subs, etc., who can go through and go into the season. And you also have to have a realistic game plan. It kind of just looked like the guys out there just, I don't know, we're just kind of like, oh, here we go. Like against Dream, yeah, I'll absolutely have to have a realistic game plan. And it probably means sitting back and keeping yourself as tight as possible. I'm not going to speak
well,
intelligently on that, but that's all I'll say.
Mango Mango makes a great point. Like you gotta like teams need to realize like the bar that they're going into, right? Like the level that the game is at the like NPSL. Like no shade to UPSL, but NPSL, USL 2, and the leagues for club for me are the top of the division, the quote unquote unofficial division 4, right? And if you're going into that level, like you have to have your ship, your crew, everyone firing on all cylinders, rowing at all the right speed. Because if not, stuff like this is going to happen, especially with who Virginia Dreams is, right? Like they're one of the stronger teams if not the strongest team in this conference. And then you go and pull something like that. It just, I almost feel bad for Virginia Dreams because it's like, what are they getting out of that, that match,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean,
And
I
no shade, no
understand.
shade.
No, I understand what you're saying. I will include the UPSL in that too, to a lesser extent, yes, because it's a lower bar, but there are standards, and that is a league that, the standards are a stated part of why teams want to join that league and stuff. And we've seen blowouts, that are disappointing on it to a lesser degree, but I want to make sure that's included in the conversation. You know, teams don't have to play UPSL, right? Like if that were the only place to play, or NPSL included as well, if that were the only place to play, then I would have, you know, more patience, more understanding. There are great leagues, that teams can play that have some really good players, but they don't necessarily have all these other requirements. They
Yeah.
also, will allow players to play against good competition, but not with the seriousness, the preparation that goes in. I mean, this, I'm sure we have the interview with GM Leland Creedick on the podcast, excuse me, on the channel, go check it out. You can also go back and check out the one with Coach CJ Taylor and Dylan Shepard. We have a whole host of what it takes to coach, manage, at that level. And it's not just showing up, waking up on Sunday, going and having fun at the field. It's not. It's not about that. So teams out there, just take that into account when you're considering which league to join, and the teams that are already in it, honor those commitments, honor your opponents, and make it worthwhile for everyone. Don't want to go too far down that, but I just had to be said.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to UPSL. We're gonna start in the north because why not? Let's
Yes.
just make them wait even more.
Yes. I love it.
DMV
I love it.
DMV North. So right now it's a little bit of an interesting scenario going on in the North. With we're really seeing the table kind of take shape, take its molding. I'm surprised with who's in the top seed versus not a bad surprise, but just surprised, and versus who is now in third place. Because last week, 2 weeks ago, when we had this very same conversation, we were talking about DC Hyper. DC Hyper was the team to be. DC Hyper was the the team that was going to win this conference, this division. I'm sorry, and DMV North. And lo and behold, they're sitting in the third place, and Chiefs United is in first, and Club Deportivo Laurel is in second. So, what do you think, Noah?
Well, hold on. I am not sure how it's coming through to the viewers, but you are going off and on, kind of fuzzy. Um, you look like a game of
Huh?
Tetris, but you're back now. We're good. Anyways,
Tetris.
but DC Hyper, yeah, I mean that's shocking. Honestly, the entire this table to me, and this is my first time reviewing it to be honest. Before we got onto this podcast, but I would never have been able to predict this. Not to throw any shade at any of the teams at the top or maybe oversell some of the ones at the bottom, but Chiefs United, Club Deportivo Laurel, DC Hyper third, MSI fourth, Germantown City, Bridgeport all the way down at six. I mean, it's wild, and I think that we're still going to see some trends emerge. Like it seems like Bridgeport is on a winning kick right now. They had an atrocious start to their season, but they're on the up and up right now. MSI Pro, they had a huge win over the weekend, I believe against DC Hyper. But Chiefs United, credit to them. I mean, they were, I think, missed playoffs last season. They're doing the right things. They're bringing the players in, doing the streaming. Shout out to Chiefs. Appreciate you for bringing in, becoming a part of the DMV Sports Media family. But these things, they start to build upon one another, doing things the right way, like we talked about. And here they are, sitting top of the table. Now, it's a long season. They're only halfway through. They got to continue to defend that and continue playing at a high level. But Chiefs United, shout out to them. Shout out to Club Deportivo Laurel too. I am not as familiar, but I know that that's a team that was a little bit lower in the table. They took a season off, came back, and now look at them sitting second with a game in hand in the table. Um, it's not too late for the teams that are sitting lower in the table. We mentioned Bridgeport, Rockville Kings, Touch Kings, Moco, Hybrid. But yeah, it's a high level, and it's not just about the level of players, right? Like you looked at that Touch Kings roster, incredible. There's some great players, and they've had some really tough losses, but there's extra factors outside of just having great players. That comes to coaching. It comes to how do you game manage. We saw that a game that comes to mind, Aegean Hawks versus Bowleys. Bowleys looked great in that winter cup match, but who won? It was the Aegean Hawks. After going down 2 goals, they just found a way. They have such veteran players, and that's not saying, not a knock on any specific teams. It's just it's more than just bringing good players to the field.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs United. I just want to say this one thing before we move to DMV South. A B is Chiefs United. The ability to be patient, their ability to chip away, their ability to just know how to use the respect, utter respect. I mean, I can't remember the forward's name right at this moment, but
Batika, is it Brandon Batika or is it
he
the
was
player from Rostosi?
fantastic for when he played. They played against Hybrid and from Rostosi. I can't remember his name right now. It's we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. I will get his. We'll have his name here shortly. But I mean, the Chiefs much respect to like their ability just to play their game plan, not cave into whatever his opponents their opponent is trying to do, and then just see out the games. That's why they're in first place for me. So just wanted to give them their love. Let's move on to DMV South B.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
In what a conference. I'm by the way, Geo, we're having some we're definitely having some issues. Is there any quick fix or maybe like turning
our
down
hold
the
on. Let's ask the chat because it couldn't because I'm not seeing this on me watching the stream here. Chat. Am
Okay, maybe.
who's blurry? Who's frozen? Let us know. This is the first
It's
time I
much
addressed the
better now,
chat
but
like that.
it's
Geo is
wireless and
blurry.
there are
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to attempt to plug this cable in. I might disappear. I might disappear
I thought
again.
you were plugged in.
I
I
tried.
thought you were Ethernet according.
I tried. I tried to plug in before, and it just didn't plug in properly.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry people.
Very professional here. We're
Yeah,
the
it's
most professional.
how come we can get the stream of actual matches going, but we can't get our podcast to get not laggy.
Look, this is the first time, y'all. Come on now.
Fair enough.
All right. Let's go back to DMV South B. Los
Yes.
Toros, Lynchburg for me are the teams that are the race for. Honestly, Blue Ridge is on and on, win lose draw win lose. Then you have Grove United, who I, I think people are underestimating Grove. Grove is a great organization. They do great things, but I mean, it's really tough. Like when they can't get their roster there, or there depends on the roster they take. So for me, it's just Todos and Lynchburg. How many matches does
Yeah, I
Plato
think
play
that's
in?
fair. I mean, Doratus, like they where they sit on the table, for me, it just feels wrong. I mean, I think we saw how close they were against Grove in week 1, right? A penalty kick in the final minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Some would say a dubious penalty kick, but in any case, that ended up them sharing points instead of getting the 3. How much of a difference would that have made? They ended up having their match versus Lynchburg postponed, so they do have a game in hand. Um, they also had a tough loss on the road, Blue Ridge. So I think we're going to see Doratus definitely rise their stock as the year goes on. But I think it's pretty clear Los Toros, Lynchburg are going to be the top 2, at the end of the season. Shout out to Toros, the fastest goal ever in UPSL history. This past weekend, it was the winning goal. Freddie Jovel is playing a player who's absolutely on form right now. It's
fire, fire.
fire.
I
Yeah.
shouted him out every single time I've streamed them, and you have to. He's just fantastic player. I mean, unfortunate he got that red card against Christos, but he he's been on fire aside from that moment. I mean, absolute fire. Actually, real quick, um, Mr. Taylor Senior is gonna hate us, but I want to kind of go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with this question. First of all, Robert, thank you. But Falcon said, how many matches these games play by year? So these teams, it depends on how many leagues, and it depends on how many rosters they have. So like NPSL, they typically play around 5 to 7 home matches, and then obviously it's like 10 to 14 matches all together. UPSL, you have anywhere from same amount of games. Super Soccer League, if you're in Virginia, you play 10 plus playoffs. If you're in Maryland, Division One, you play 12, no playoffs, and then South Division Two, you play 10 plus playoffs. So it really depends. I mean, and that's just for the spring. We're not talking about the fall. The fall would just be double of that. And obviously, NPSL, USL, and leagues for or USL two and leagues for club are just summer leagues. So that would be like if, for example, Dreams is playing Super Soccer League. Yes,
I, I was gonna say, Dream. My understanding was Dream played about 70 matches between
there you go.
March and December last year. Now that is an outlier. They play more matches because they played in a summer competition, a tournament competition. They also played NPSL, UPSL, Super League, fall and spring. So that was an outlier. But I think on the lower end, let's say Slancha as another example. They're playing 20 regular season matches fall and spring, plus playoff matches. Let's call it um, maybe 24 matches, but then they're going to likely play in a state cup as well. So you're talking about probably 30 plus matches over the course of over the course of the year. So I would say
So
anywhere between 25 and 70 matches for the average.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say you hit it on the head. I was gonna get the range. Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of football, man. It's a lot of football. It's a lot. I
Uh,
mean, so like these, especially the teams that are playing the 70, and then not to throw in like not to forget to throw in like some of these teams are probably going to do like the national amateur, the Open Cup. So I mean, it's exciting stuff. All right, let's give the people what they want.
hmm.
Let's give the people DMV South A, and let's talk about the match everyone's here for. Noah, do you want to give us a little bit? Oh, so Noah disappeared as soon as we were going to talk about DMV South. It wasn't me. Just let it be noted. um. Oh, let me see. Thanks for answering. If I can catch a live in DC, so structure of the league. Oh well, thank you for that. Um. So DMV South A, Arlington is sitting at the top of the seed right now, and Virginia Dreams is sitting right under them with a draw that they had earlier this year against VA Revolution. And VA Revolution is right under Virginia Dream. So this weekend there's going to be a match. I really don't. I think Noah's going to jump back on here in a second, but I really don't want to preview it without him. And it's it's match number one and number two. Oh, here comes Noah. See, look, see, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Um, I was just laying out the match, the table of the South A, and that's I already went through Arlington, Virginia Dreams, VA Revolution, Alexandria Reds, but the match. This is the match.
Let me lay some of the context, right? Because we had a pretty massive match this weekend. Arlington, who are your perfect undefeated and only wins on their belt so far, right now league leaders. They took on the Alexandria Reds, who were the unexpected team from the top four. I think there was some who had thought they might have fallen off. That some players went to other clubs. Some of the leadership went a different way, but wow, they have shown that they are very much still there, and they're still in the top four. It was a heated match between Arlington and Alexandria Reds, which has been a great rivalry over the years since the two got into the UPSL. Um, Probably the two biggest youth and youth boys and girls and adult clubs now in the Northern Virginia area, to my knowledge, definitely within the Arlington Alexandria sphere. So that's always been a great rivalry. But um, Arlington won 2-1. It was a game that Arlington were pretty much in control of for most of the match, but after scoring two goals, Alexandria found a way to get kind of a fluky goal in. But the sport. It doesn't matter if you're dominant in 80 minutes plus, then somehow a team gets a penalty kick or a fluke goal. It's on. In the last 10 minutes, Alexandria, they had their chances and very much, found the wind at their back, and almost, they were able to share points. But Arlington saw the game out, able to retain their top spot, and that is the context heading into, of course, this match on Sunday. Um, for Virginia Dream and UPSL, it was a business as usual 6-1 victory over North Stars. As you'd expect, Virginia Dream, they dropped points against VA Revolution. So right now, Arlington slightly in command of the race. Arlington would just need to share points in order to stay ahead of Dream. But no doubt, those teams, when I talk about rivalries, I mean, every rivalry in this amateur space kind of comes second to the Virginia Dream versus Arlington rivalry. There's players who have played on both sides. Players with professional resumes, young players who probably will go on to play professionally at some other level. The There's respect. Sometimes the respect goes away for a little bit, but it's a heated rivalry, and no, I think there is a lot of respect from both sides. But it's certainly a game that both sides will want to win, and it's going to get heated. I can promise you that.
For those that don't know, we're talking about Alexandria versus Virginia Dreams on.
Arlington, Arlington,
Sorry,
Arlington,
Arlington. I don't know why I said
Arlington. I got you, Geo.
Arlington versus Virginia Dreams on May 11th, 8 p.m. at Meridian High School Stadium, the home of Virginia Dreams. What a matchup! I'm telling you, I'm so well. I'll be asleep because I'll be in Dubai, but
Look at you.
I might wake up to watch some of this game.
This is going to be one you're going to want to watch. I mean, I'm telling you, if there were one game all weekend, all month probably. I mean, no, we got some other good games, but nah, right now this is the one. This is the only one that I'm really, really, really hyped about.
I'm
Arlington
like,
versus
why does it have to happen when I'm on vacation? Like, why couldn't we reschedule this? I know. The world doesn't revolve around me. I get it. But this is going to be such a huge match. I mean, just to watch. First of all, we've sat down with head coach of Virginia Dreams, Mr. Taylor. CJ, we had such a great conversation with him, and then I had the fortune to talk with the GM of Arlington, and man, like two great organizations, two exciting futures for both organizations, and then we're getting to see them 1 and 2 go toe to toe to this weekend. I mean, what a matchup after the results that they've had. It's this is an exciting match.
it would be an exciting match in a bubble. I mean, I would pay money to go see Virginia Dream versus Arlington SA, but it's not in a bubble. The context has kind of like set up perfectly for this to be, I say, the title match. I mean, after this match, it's going to be one team's to lose, and it has so much consequence. It's early in the season, yes, but um, I think these are two clubs that kind of set the standard. Obviously, Virginia Revolution, they're a team that very much has done things the right way, and they have some incredible players. And still, they might have something to be said about. There's going to be some great rivalry matches there, but the rivalry has been Virginia Dream in Arlington, and there's players who have played on both sides. Goalkeeper Mert was a Virginia Dream player. Meza for Virginia Dream played with Arlington. Jennings came from Virginia Dream. Eric Jennings now plays with um, Arlington. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm curious to see. There's some players who are just going to be starters for this game. There's players that, but right now I'm not 100% sure the goalkeeping for either side. I mean, both sides have a whole host of capable and quality goalkeepers. For Virginia Dream, it's been Lorenzo Herrera. It's been Nate Lynch, and then, to my understanding, I don't know if Joe Rice, who played with Virginia Dream in the Open Cup, is still available, but you would think a player like him might, potentially be called up. Also, Alston Hyde debuted for Virginia Dream this Saturday.
Wait,
So
hold on.
possible.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Not debut.
What?
He's played with Virginia. Yeah,
What? Hold on.
in the UPSL. Yeah, but for Arlington, they've got
That's too
Connor
much.
Jones, who played at UVA, great goalkeeper, played against Alexandria Reds. They've got Mert Merch, aka the Turk. He brings half of our views to all of the Arlington. No, I'm kidding, but he certainly has a fan base that that is very vocal in support of him. They've got, of course, I'm thinking of a third, but they also have the young Robert Crisanti, and he's a youth player and also plays on the men's team. And okay, the young Crisanti is injured. Hope the best and quick recovery, but even still, I'm blanking out on the third goalkeeper who is Arlington's number one for quite a while. But Robert, if you can help me out. But yeah, I'm curious to see how either side lines up with goalkeeper, because obviously goalkeeper can be, a difference maker. We saw that the last time these teams matched up. It was a 3-0 victory for Virginia Dream, but it didn't really fully tell the story. I mean, Bill Hamid made some saves in that match that I promise you no other goalkeeper at this level is making. Like his presence alone was enough to intimidate, and it completely changed the flow of the game. Now, Dream have some great goalkeepers, and I think that I'm just curious to see how it lines up. I'm a goalkeeper. I have great appreciation for the craft and players who are able to do it at that level. So that's something I'm looking forward to see.
And this is also, it should be mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only time they are facing each other this regular season. So huge implications of the result of this match. So do make sure you check it out. We will have a bunch of games going on, a bunch of matches this weekend. Noah, do you want to say anything before we sign off here?
It was Trevor Kallendorf. I couldn't. Did you ever get the name of the
Oh, no, I didn't.
Of the
I got sidetracked.
No. Just wanted to make sure to give. Yeah, but no. Robert says Mert taught Bill everything he knows. I have no doubt. Mert has such a personality. I love Mert, and yeah, this is going to be a great match. I wish I had the time to just list off all of the Impact players from both sides, but you're going to have to tune in. I think if Arlington have Chris Barnard, that's going to be a player to watch out for. Asper Slavov for Virginia Dream have been playing really well. Panton, and then Lakulia up top. Of course, Akinkoye in the midfield for the Dream. The list goes on and on. I'm ready. Please, if you're here, you're still watching, mark your calendar. Sunday, 8 p.m. is a match you're going to want to watch out for. We got some other great matches tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday in the Virginia Super League, UPSL Saturday and Sunday, and Maryland Super League Sunday. But if you have a short attention span like me and you only listen to one thing, 8 p.m. on Sunday night, DMV Sports Media. I'll see you there. Please.
There we go. Everyone, have yourself a great night. Do make sure you hit that subscribe and like and comment. We will see you all this weekend. I will not see you all this weekend, but I'll probably try to be in the chat for as many games as I can while I'm not sleeping. And then I will look to be back on the 17th.
No worry.
All righty, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We had a great support. Great to see everyone in the chat. Thanks for rocking with us.
Thank you, everyone.